I wasn't smart enough to think of this when I was playing. I wish I had. I didn't think of this until I started doing shooting lessons with athletes. I started working with athletes who would come to me and they would be in a shooting slump. Good shooters, like experienced high school players and college players, so not little kids, but good shooters who already knew how to shoot. They had good mechanics, but they would get in these shooting slumps. And it didn't matter. I realized it didn't matter. I could work with them forever on their technique and on their mechanics, but the stuff that was going on in their mind was what was causing them to miss shots. So I came up with this idea that I just called the yes game. And here's how the yes game works. And I think if any of you suffer from a shooting slump, this is one tool that I found to be really effective for players. First of all, you got to define what a yes is. A yes shot. And this relates to exactly what I'm talking about. This is why I brought it up. A yes shot, first of all, has nothing to do with whether or not it goes in. It has nothing to do with the outcome. You've all shot enough times that everyone in this room knows what I mean when I say, when I talk about one of those shots that just feels perfect. Like it just feels sweet when it leaves your hand. And every single one of you would probably describe it in a different way. And I think it's important that you do try to describe it to yourself. You do come up with words. And again, once you put words on something, once you try to put words on a feeling, it's kind of not it. But that's all we got as human beings is our language. So for example, I remember my words to describe a shot that felt perfect. One word was just smooth. Like it just felt smooth to me. It just felt easy to me. Crisp was another word that just resonated. Your words might be different. But the first thing you got to do is you got to define for yourself internally, feeling-wise, what a yes shot is. And instead of saying to them, I want you to shoot 10 or I want you to make 7 out of 10, I might say, give me 10 yeses. Give me 10 yeses and we'll move to another spot. And the way the yes game works is they shoot, and as soon as the ball leaves their hand, if it feels like that feeling, they say the word yes. If it doesn't, they don't say anything. So the only person talking is them, and the only word being said is yes. And here's why it's effective. It's effective because I think the yes game forces you to think like great shooters think. Because great shooters, you know, a lot of times the difference between the greatest shooters in the world and the mediocre shooters is not technique. A lot of times the difference is just how they think about shooting. The greatest shooters in the world miss half their shots in games. And the difference is when a mediocre shooter misses a shot, the tendency is to think about why they missed. Oh, my foot wasn't in the right place. It just didn't leave my hand right. I didn't get my elbow in. They start to think about what they did wrong or their mechanics. Whereas a great shooter is constantly focused on how they want their shot to feel. They're constantly daydreaming about how the ball feels when it leaves their hand and it just feels perfect. So in the yes game, if you're going to be able to verbalize whether or not the next shot is a yes, in your mind, you got to revisit. You got to revisit the dream. You got to revisit what a yes feels like so that you can judge whether or not the next shot feels like a yes or not. So it forces you to keep your attention on how you want your shot to feel.